My teenage daughter screamed, "I'd be happier if you were dead." Mom's BF is the kind of dad I wish I had. Instead of yelling back, I became dead. Didn't talk, didn't drive, didn't pay. 3 days later, she begged me to be her dad again. Hey Reddit, long-time lurker, first-time poster. Never thought I'd be one of those parents writing here, but my 16-year-old daughter told me she wished I was dead. So I decided to show her what life would actually look like without me in it. Let's just say things didn't go the way she expected. So I'm Brian, a divorced dad, 45 male. Been divorced for 8 years now from Catherine, 42 female, my ex who decided chasing her dream career was more important than, raising her kid. We've got one daughter, Ellie, 16 female. And when I say I've been raising her mostly on my own, I mean it. Catherine sees her maybe twice a year if the stars align. And even then it's like she's doing Ellie a favor by showing up with a gift card and a photo op. Ellie lives with me full time. I'm the one who does the day-to-day grind. Doctor appointments, parent-teacher nights, the whole deal. Catherine's the fun parent who gets to post selfies on Instagram with number mom life and then vanish again. Not bitter, just facts. Now Ellie's a good kid at her core, but lately she's been on that teenage rebellion streak. And fueling that streak is her boyfriend, Chad. If you're picturing a kid with a vape glued to his hand, a permanent smirk, and a car that sounds like a dying lawnmower, you've nailed him. He's 17, already has a record for shoplifting, and skips school so often, I'm half convinced the attendance office has his name on a dartboard. I've never liked him. He treats Ellie like garbage, always calling her dramatic when she complains, always pushing her to break rules. Classic bad news boyfriend. Of course, Ellie swears I don't get him, and that he's misunderstood. Yeah, every parent of a criminal's future roommate has heard that line. Anyway, last Friday night is where everything exploded. Ellie came bouncing into the kitchen, already dressed like she was about to hit a nightclub, not a high school house party. She says she's going to this party with Chad. No, you're not, I tell her flatly. That's it. Just those 4 words. I didn't yell, didn't give a speech, just laid down the boundary. And holy hell, you'd think I told her she was being shipped off to boot camp. She instantly went nuclear, screaming about how I'm ruining her life, how all her friends get to go, how I don't understand her. She's pacing the kitchen like she's performing a monologue for an audience of one, me. I just stood there drinking my coffee, waiting for the tantrum to burn itself out. But then she pulled out the heavy artillery. I'd be happier if you were dead, she screamed, face red, eyes blazing, full teenage fury mode. And then, because apparently that wasn't enough, she added, "You don't get me, you never have. Walter gets me. He treats me like family, not like some problem to deal with. He's more of a dad than you'll ever be, and I can't wait until I'm old enough to leave this house and live with him and mom." Now, let me pause here. Walter is Catherine's new boyfriend. I've met the guy maybe twice. He's 38 but acts like he's 25, always wearing a backwards cap and talking about the grind, like he's some motivational speaker on TikTok. Basically, a walking midlife crisis in designer jeans. So my daughter telling me this random clown she's met 3 times is her real dad? That stung. I won't lie. It hit like a brick to the face. But instead of yelling, instead of losing it, instead of giving her the satisfaction of a blow-up fight, I just looked at her, calm as anything. And I said, "Noted, sweetheart." That's it. That's all I said. She blinked, confused for a second, then stormed off to her room, probably expecting me to chase her down the hall and beg her to talk. That's usually the script. She blows up, I try to smooth it over, and the cycle repeats. But something in me snapped that night. Not in an angry way, just something shifted. If she wants me dead so bad, fine. She's going to find out what dead dad really feels like. So I decided right then and there, I'm going ghost. Literally dead mode. Dead people don't make breakfast. Dead people don't hand out money for disgusting matcha. Dead people don't sit around waiting to be disrespected. And from that night forward, that's exactly how I was going to act. No yelling, no grounding speech. Just silence. She wanted me dead? Fine. She was about to find out life without me in it isn't all Instagram captions and freedom. The irony? I actually felt calmer than I had in years. For once, I wasn't going to bend over backwards to keep the peace. I wasn't going to beg for respect from my own kid. She'd either figure it out, or she wouldn't. But one thing was clear. She wasn't ready for dead dad. And honestly, I was almost looking forward to showing her just how much of her world depended on me being alive. The next morning, bright and early, I put the plan into motion. Normally, I'd be up making breakfast. Eggs, pancakes, the works. Ellie would stroll downstairs, half asleep, grab her plate, and grumble about how she hates school but still eat every bite. But that morning, one plate, one fork, one set of eggs and toast. She shuffled in, hair all over the place, and looked at the table like she'd walked into the wrong house. Where's mine? She asked, pointing at my plate. I took a bite of toast, nodded politely like she'd said something about the weather, and went back to reading news on my tablet. Her jaw dropped. Dad. Seriously, this isn't funny. I sipped my coffee. That was the entire conversation. She stomped around the kitchen, yanked open the fridge, slammed it shut, then stormed back upstairs. 10 minutes later, I heard the microwave ding. Dead people don't make breakfast. And that was just the start. Ellie tried every trick in the book to get me to crack. When she wanted a ride to the mall later that day, she stood by the door jingling her keys like I'd magically appear in chauffeur mode. When nothing happened, she came over and waved her hand in front of my face. Dad. Hello? I need a ride. Dad. I casually adjusted the thermostat. Didn't even glance her way. Finally, she yelled, Fine! I'll just take the bus. And stomped off. Perfect. Dead people don't drive. Sunday morning was even better. She came down with her phone in her hand, glaring. Why isn't my data working? I shrugged, flipped the TV channel, and said nothing. She fiddled with it for a solid 5 minutes before realizing the unlimited plan she loved so much was under my account. And dead people don't pay phone bills. By Monday morning, the silence was eating at her. She tried whining. Dad, this is stupid. Dad, come on. You're being ridiculous. Dad? Nothing. Finally, she snapped, You're so immature, and stomped back upstairs. The irony of a 16-year-old screaming that at her parent while she's begging for Spotify Premium wasn't lost on me. Then came her master plan. Bring in reinforcements. Tuesday after school, she strutted in with Chad trailing behind her. The kid smelled like Axe body spray and bad decisions. He plopped down on the couch like he owned the place. Ellie crossed her arms, waiting for me to acknowledge him. I walked right past them, grabbed bread from the kitchen, made a sandwich, and headed for my home office. Behind me, I heard Ellie hiss, See? This is what I'm talking about. He's ignoring me for no reason. Chad, never one to miss a chance to flex, stomped up and knocked on my office door. Sir? You're being immature. You know that, right? I gave him a glare that translates to get out and kept typing. I don't argue with teenagers who think having a probation officer is a personality trait. After a minute, Chad gave up and muttered something about me being psycho. They left not long after and I enjoyed my sandwich in peace. Of course, Ellie wasn't going to let it drop. Later that night, I heard her on the landline, because, again, dead people don't pay cell bills. She was sobbing to Catherine. Mom, he's ignoring me. He's not talking to me. He shut off my phone. He won't drive me anywhere. Perfect. Right on cue. By Wednesday morning, my phone was lighting up with messages from Catherine. First polite. Brian, Ellie says you're ignoring her. What's going on? Then annoyed. This is emotional abuse. You need to stop immediately. Then full dramatic. If you don't pick up this phone right now, I'm calling my lawyer. I didn't answer a single one. Ellie kept trying new tactics too. She slammed doors louder. She stomped down the stairs like she was rehearsing for Riverdance. She even tried leaving notes on the fridge like, Dad, stop being childish. This isn't funny anymore. I kept them all. Figured one day she'd look back and cringe at her own handwriting. The best part? By Thursday, she'd started trying to bait me into arguments. At breakfast, she sat across from me with her bowl of cereal and said, You know, Walter would never do this. He actually listens to me. I raised my coffee cup like I was toasting a ghost and went back to reading. She huffed so hard I thought she might pass out. By the end of the week, the cracks were showing. She'd gone from smug confidence to irritated sighs to genuine panic. When the cafeteria lady called me to say Ellie's lunch account was empty, I didn't reload it. Dead people don't fund chicken nuggets. Ellie came home fuming. I had to borrow money from Rebecca today. Everyone thinks I'm broke now? I gave her a thumbs up without looking away from the TV. Her face turned red, then pale. She finally realized this wasn't a bit. I wasn't bluffing. Dead mode was here to stay. And she was just starting to understand what being without me actually looked like. By midweek, Ellie wasn't just annoyed. She was rattled. Then her phone shut off completely. Not just the data. No texts, no calls, nothing. Watching her stare at the blank screen like it was a dead pet was almost comical. Dead people don't pay Verizon. That morning, she came downstairs late, hair still wet, bag half-zipped. Normally, I'd give her a heads up about the bus schedule, or even drive her if she was running behind. Not anymore. She glanced at the clock, realized she'd missed it, and glared at me. You couldn't wake me up? She snapped. I sipped my coffee. Nothing. She stomped, muttering about abuse under her breath, and ended up walking the 1.5 miles to school. Safe neighborhood. She survived. That's when my sister Stephanie came over. She's my younger sister by 3 years, and unlike Catherine, she's actually present. She's been my rock since the divorce. Helped me with Ellie when she was little, babysat. Sat through those painful parent nights when Catherine was too busy, traveling for work. Stephanie knows the full history. She walked in with a bag of groceries, took one look at me sitting at the table while Ellie sulked upstairs, and said, "So, dead mode, huh? Dead people don't answer the door." I deadpanned. She grinned, dropped the bag on the counter, and gave me a high five. "Finally, took you long enough." We sat down, and I filled her in. The "I'd be happier if you were dead" line. The Walter comment. The ignoring. She didn't even blink. Good. About time she saw what it's really like without you carrying her. Stephanie's never been one to sugarcoat. She's been warning me for years not to play both parent roles while Catherine gets to play Disneyland mom twice a year. And right on cue, Catherine started her games. Around lunchtime, I get a notification. Catherine had tagged Ellie in a photo on Facebook. Some filtered picture of Ellie at Christmas 2 years ago, captioned, "Missing my girl so much. Can't wait until we're reunited. Best mom. Family first." I nearly spit my coffee. Family first? This woman left Ellie with me when she was 8. Sees her on spring break if she feels like it, and now she's suddenly Mother of the Year on social media? Classic Catherine. Image over substance. Ellie saw it too. I could hear her stomping around upstairs, probably embarrassed. But she didn't say a word to me about it. Then Walter joined the circus. He texted Stephanie, not me, because even he knew better, about how I was stunting Ellie's emotional growth by ignoring her. Said he wanted to step up as Dad 2.0. Stephanie showed me the message, nearly choking on her coffee from laughing. Dad 2.0? What is he, a software update? I shook my head. More like beta version, full of bugs. Ellie wasn't helping herself either. Saturday morning she came down, tears in her eyes, waving her dead phone. "Dad, please, I need my phone. I can't even text Rebecca about homework." I gave her a shrug, the kind that says, "Life's tough, kid," and went back to the paper. "Why are you doing this?" she cried. Dead people don't answer questions. Stephanie, sitting at the counter, raised her cup toward Ellie. "Honey, maybe don't wish your only active parent was dead next time, Ellie stormed off again. Of course, Catherine couldn't let things cool down. By that afternoon, my phone was lighting up with her texts. The tone escalated fast. "Ellie says you're ignoring her. Stop being childish. This is abuse, Brian. I'll get custody if I have to. Walter and I are discussing options. You're not fit to parent if you treat her this way." I ignored all of it, but Stephanie didn't. She finally called Catherine back, put her on speaker, and leaned on the counter with a smirk. Catherine launched right in. "Stephanie, thank God you called. He's gone completely insane. He's ignoring Ellie, shutting off her phone, making her walk to school. It's emotional abuse. I'll have no choice but to take full custody." Stephanie just sipped her coffee. "Uh-huh. Full custody. You do realize that means actually parenting her, right?" Silence for a beat. Catherine stumbled, then huffed. "I've always been there for Ellie." Stephanie laughed. "Yeah, twice a year, and posting old pictures doesn't count." I could practically hear Catherine seething through the line. Walter and I are building a stable environment for her. He's a positive male influence, unlike Brian. I finally looked up from my newspaper. Does this positive male influence even know what grade she's in? Stephanie grinned. "Good question. Walter, want to answer?" Catherine snapped, "Don't be ridiculous. Ellie loves him." From upstairs, Ellie yelled, "No, I don't!" Stephanie nearly fell off the stool laughing. Catherine sputtered for another minute before hanging up, promising lawyers and custody battles. Stephanie rolled her eyes and looked at me. She won't last 2 days with Ellie full time. You know it. I know it. And deep down, Ellie knows it too. And she was right. For all her talk, Catherine had no clue what full-time parenting meant. Walter definitely didn't. And Ellie, for the first time, was realizing that if she pushed me away, that was the alternative. 2 self-absorbed people who couldn't even tell you her favorite show. The cracks in her rebellion were starting to show, and I wasn't about to fix them for her. Turns out Catherine decided to fix things herself. Saturday afternoon, I saw a car pull up through the window. Not Ellie's friends. Not Stephanie. Nope. It was Catherine and Walter, straight off their self-righteous flight from across the country. I could see them standing on the porch before they even knocked. Catherine all dolled up like she was 25 again, Walter with his backwards cap and that fake tough guy walk. The guy's basically a knockoff stepdad action figure. Then came the banging. Brian, open this door right now! Catherine's voice cut through the house. Walter chimed in, voice muffled but full of wannabe authority. Come on, man. Be an adult. Talk this out like men. I adjusted in my seat, reached for my coffee. Didn't even glance at the door. The pounding continued. Catherine's tone shifted from demanding to pleading in less than 5 minutes. Brian, please. Ellie is miserable. Just stop this nonsense. Then came the guilt trip. You're hurting her. Do you want her to resent you forever? I turned another page. By the 10-minute mark, Walter was trying to peer through the side window, hands cupped against the glass like a nosy neighbor. I can see you, buddy. You're just sitting there. This is childish. I sipped my coffee. Childish? No. This was strategic. They hung around like that for almost 45 minutes. Knock, yell, threaten, plead, repeat. Catherine even dropped the line I knew was coming. If you don't stop this, I'll file for full custody. Ellie deserves stability, not whatever this is. Yeah, right. Translation. She didn't want to get hit with back child support she hadn't paid in 2 years. Custody was her way of dodging it. Finally, the front door creaked open, but not from me. Ellie had just gotten home from school, walking down the driveway with her backpack, and stopped dead when she saw them standing there. The look on her face was priceless. Half shock, half please. Tell me you didn't actually come here. Mom, what are you doing here? Ellie asked. Catherine practically melted with fake concern. Sweetheart, I'm here to fix this. Your father has lost his mind, but don't worry. We're going to take care of you. You're coming with us. We've got a hotel room until we sort this out. Ellie looked through the window at me. I was sitting there, clearly visible, flipping a page. She bit her lip, like she was hoping I'd get up. Stop them. Say something. I didn't move. Dead people don't intervene. Come on, Ellie, Catherine insisted, tugging her arm. Pack a bag. You can't stay here while he plays these games. Walter puffed up his chest behind her, nodding like he was some kind of enforcer. Yeah, this isn't healthy, kid. You need structure. A real male role model. I nearly laughed at that. Real male role model? The guy who still wears sneakers with gold zippers? Ellie hesitated. But I've got school. If I miss more classes... Catherine waved her off. Don't worry about that. Walter knows people on the school board. He'll handle it. Walter nodded again, all smug. Yeah, I've got connections. Sure he did. In a district he didn't live in for a kid he barely knew. Ellie glanced at me one more time, silently begging for a reaction. But I stayed rooted, calm, flipping another page. She had to see it herself. Finally, with a defeated sigh, she let Catherine guide her back toward the car. Walter strutted behind them like he'd just won a championship. I watched from my chair as the car pulled away, Ellie's eyes still flicking back to the house until they disappeared down the street. The silence afterward was heavy, not the peaceful kind, more like the weight of a choice hanging in the air. But I didn't break it. If she wanted to test what life was like with Catherine and Walter, she was going to find out firsthand. About an hour later, Stephanie walked in with takeout in hand. She saw the empty couch and the look on my face. So, they took her? Yep. Stephanie dropped the bag on the counter, popped open a carton, and shook her head. 2 days. Max. I raised a brow. That generous? She grinned. Fine. 18 hours. Catherine can barely handle Ellie for a weekend visit, let alone living in a hotel room with her full time. And Walter? He's a poser. He'll tap out the second she rolls her eyes at him. I leaned back, finally setting my book aside. Guess we'll see. Stephanie clinked her chopsticks against mine like it was a toast. Place your bets, brother. But trust me, they'll be back before the leftovers go bad. And honestly, I believed her. Because for the first time, Ellie was about to see the difference between a dad who was actually there and 2 adults who only played the part when it was convenient. Didn't take long, exactly 18 hours to be precise. Sunday morning, I was halfway through making myself a single plate of eggs and bacon when I heard a car door slam outside. I peeked through the blinds. Yep, Catherine, Walter, and Ellie marching up the driveway. They didn't even knock this time. Apparently, Catherine had dug around and found the old emergency key overnight, because this time she just let herself in like she still lived there. Brian, this ends now, she declared, strutting into the kitchen like she owned it. Ellie has something to say to you. Ellie looked like she hadn't slept. Hair messy, dark circles under her eyes. Hoodie half-zipped. She clutched a crumpled piece of paper like it was her last lifeline. Dad, she whispered, voice cracking. I'm sorry. I didn't mean what I said. Please, can we just go back to normal? I placed my eggs and bacon on the table, sat down, and started eating. Didn't even look up. Dead people don't answer. Walter, of course, couldn't leave it there. He puffed up, stepped forward, and tried his best alpha routine. Listen here, buddy. You're traumatizing your daughter. This isn't parenting, it's cruelty. She needs stability. She needs... And that's when it happened. Ellie snapped. Not at me. At him. Shut up, Walter. You don't even know me. Stop acting like you're my dad. The whole kitchen froze. My fork scraped against the plate, the only sound in the room. Catherine's face turned red. Ellie, she barked. Apologize to Walter right now. He flew all the way here to help you. Ellie's voice shot up, tears spilling down her face. I don't care. He dragged me to that gross hotel where you guys fought all night. He doesn't know me. He didn't know I had a chemistry test. He didn't know I'm on academic probation. He doesn't know anything. She turned toward me then, eyes desperate. Dad knows. Dad knows I hate pickles on my burgers. Dad knows I need exactly 2 creams in my coffee. Dad knows I get panic attacks during thunderstorms. Dad knows my favorite show is Modern Family, even though I tell everyone it's Euphoria. Dad knows me. Her voice broke. But I told him I wished he was dead. I told him Walter was my real dad. And now he won't even look at me. Catherine stepped forward, hand out like she was soothing a toddler. Sweetheart, we can work this out. Ellie cut her off, voice shaking but sharp. Number you left. You left when I was 8. You call maybe once a month, if that. You send birthday money when you remember. Last year, you sent it 2 weeks late. She pulled out the crumpled paper, shoved it onto the table in front of me. I wrote this at the hotel. I know dead people can't read, but I need you to anyway. Her handwriting was shaky. I read the words in silence while she spoke them out loud. Dad, I know you probably won't read this because dead people can't read, but I need you to know I'm sorry. I was mad about Chad and the party, and I said the worst thing I could think of, but I didn't mean it. You're not perfect. You're strict, and you worry too much. You still cut the crust off my sandwiches even though I tell you I'm not 5, but you're here. You've always been here. You're my dad. I'm sorry I said Walter was. Walter asked me what grade I was in. He bought me a gift card to Justice. I'm 16. Please don't be dead anymore. Please. By the time she finished, her voice was wrecked. Catherine tried again, this time softer. Ellie, honey, we can move past this. I've been building a life for us. Ellie let out a bitter laugh. A life for you. With Walter. In your condo with rules about no kids longer than 2 weeks. Dad told me about your HOA. That's not a life for me. That's just you pretending to be young and free while ignoring me. Walter, shifting uncomfortably, muttered, Maybe we should go, Catherine. Ellie spun on him. Yes, you should. Both of you. This is my house, with my dad. And you're not welcome here anymore. The silence that followed was suffocating. Catherine's jaw worked like she was chewing on her own pride. Finally, she grabbed her purse. Fine. When you're ready to apologize and be reasonable, you know where to find me. She stormed out, Walter trailing behind her like a kicked puppy. Ellie stayed, shaking, tears dripping onto her hoodie. I finished my breakfast, set the fork down, and finally looked at her. There's cereal in the pantry. Don't forget you've got school tomorrow. It wasn't much, but the relief on her face told me it was enough for now. I know I have a lot to prove, she whispered, but I'll do whatever it takes. Ellie hugged me, tight, like she was scared I'd vanish if she let go. And this time I hugged her back. Not because everything was magically fixed, but because she's my kid. She needed to feel I was still here, alive, very much her dad. And maybe, just maybe, she was finally ready to stop pretending Walter or Catherine could ever replace me. The next couple days were different. Ellie wasn't magically transformed overnight. She was still a teenager, but there was this shift I could feel. Saturday morning, I came downstairs expecting the usual half-asleep kid in pajamas scrolling her phone. Well, ex-phone. Instead, she was in the kitchen, poking at the stove with a frying pan. Making breakfast, she said, not looking at me. The eggs were burned, the toast was soggy, and the bacon was basically charcoal. But I ate it anyway. She sat across from me, chewing her own disaster eggs, like it was the most normal thing in the world. By Sunday, she was running laundry without me asking, vacuuming the living room, even picking up her shoes from the hallway. All unprompted. I didn't comment on it, didn't pat her on the back, just let her do it. Dead mode was officially over, but trust wasn't going to rebuild in a day. She also stopped bringing up Chad completely. No dad, you don't get him. No secret calls from the landline. It was like she'd sobered up from a bad crush and could finally see him for what he was. Meanwhile, Catherine was unraveling. It started when Stephanie's phone rang. She glanced at the screen, sighed, and answered on speaker so we could both hear. Stephanie! Catherine's voice came shrieking through. Do you know what your brother did? He ruined my relationship. Stephanie leaned back against the counter, smirking. This should be good. Walter broke up with me, Catherine wailed. He said the whole thing with Ellie opened his eyes. He didn't sign up for baby mama drama. He called me irresponsible for leaving my daughter behind and said I lied about how close we were. Can you believe that? I nearly spit out my coffee. The guy who branded himself as Dad 2.0 tapped out after one night in a hotel room with a cranky teenager. Predictable. Stephanie tried not to laugh. So let me get this straight. He dumped you because you abandoned your kid? And that's Brian's fault, how? Because he sabotaged me, Catherine snapped. He ignored Ellie, made her miserable, forced her to see me as the bad guy. He manipulated her. Ellie, who was sitting at the kitchen table doing homework, looked up with wide eyes. Stephanie locked eyes with me, smirked, and turned the volume up. You really want to go there? Stephanie asked. Ellie literally told Walter to his face he wasn't her dad. Maybe take that as a hint instead of blaming Brian. This is parental alienation, Catherine shouted. Brian turned her against me. Stephanie actually laughed. Parental alienation requires, parenting, which you haven't done in 8 years. Posting old Facebook pictures doesn't count. Ellie snorted into her notebook. Catherine heard it and lost it. Is she there? You're letting her listen to this? Yep, Stephanie said casually. Seems only fair she hears the truth instead of your edited version. The line went dead. Catherine couldn't handle the audience. Ellie set her pencil down, face serious. She doesn't actually care, does she? She asked quietly. I sighed. She cares about how it looks. That's different from caring about you. Ellie swallowed, eyes wet. I think I always knew that, but I didn't want to admit it. It was easier to believe she was just busy. That right there hit me harder than anything. My kid finally saying out loud what I'd been protecting her from for years. Catherine wasn't busy. She just wasn't around. That night, after Ellie went upstairs, I sat at the table and thought about my own dad. The man never missed being around. He was always there, but not in a way anyone would want. He was the kind of father who thought discipline meant screaming, and sometimes worse. If I'd mouthed off the way Ellie did that night of the party, I wouldn't have gotten silent treatment. I'd have gotten a belt across the back. That was his version of parenting. And here I was, giving my daughter the silent treatment in a different way. But the difference was, I wasn't trying to scare her into obedience. I wanted her to see on her own how much I did and why it mattered. And it worked. She figured it out. Without yelling. Without violence. Without me becoming my father. Ellie came back downstairs later with a cup of coffee. 2 creams, no sugar. Set it in front of me. Then sat across the table with her own mug. She didn't say anything. Just sipped and worked on her essay. And for the first time in weeks, the house felt like it was breathing again. Not perfect, not fixed, but real. Stephanie texted me before bed. Congrats, brother of the year. She gets it now. I don't know if I'd go that far. But I knew one thing. Catherine and Walter had finally exposed themselves for what they were. Pretenders. Placeholders. People who played the role when it suited them. Me? I was still here. Still alive. Still dad. But peace never lasts long when you're 16 and you've got a clingy boyfriend who doesn't understand the word no. By late afternoon, while I was working from home, I heard a familiar sputtering outside. A car with an exhaust that sounded like an angry lawnmower. I looked through the blinds. Yep, Chad, standing in my driveway with his beat-up Honda, baseball cap turned backwards, arms waving like he was auditioning for loudest idiot in the neighborhood. Ellie came downstairs at the same time, spotted him through the window, and froze. Her face went pale. I didn't invite him, she blurted. I swear, Dad, I don't want to see him. Before I could answer, the doorbell rang. Then came the knocking. Ellie, come outside. We need to talk. She shook her head, gripping the stair rail. Number I broke up with him. He won't accept it. I motioned toward the door. Then let's make it clear. Ellie hesitated, but eventually opened it. I stood a few steps back, arms crossed. Chad immediately started his show. What the hell, Ellie? You've been ignoring me all weekend. Everyone's saying your dad's being psycho, shutting off your phone, making you look like a loser. You know you don't really want this. Ellie shook her head. I told you, it's over. He stepped closer, gesturing wildly. No, it's not. You don't mean that. You're just mad. You need to get away from him. He's controlling you. Come with me. She backed up, but he grabbed her arm. And that's when I moved. I didn't even think. just stepped out onto the porch, voice sharp as steel. Get your hand off my daughter. Chad froze. Ellie yanked her arm back, eyes wide with relief. Chad puffed up, trying to act tough. Oh, now you want to talk? All week you've been ignoring her like some psycho and now you care? I took a step closer, calm but firm. You touched her again. That's assault. And trust me, son, you do not want to test how far I'll take that. I ain't your son, he sneered. No, I said flatly. You're a 17-year-old with a truancy record and a car one cop stop away from impound. You think you're a man, but real men don't manipulate girls into thinking they're worthless. And Ellie? She's not worthless. She's mine. And her dad's very much alive. I looked at Ellie. You want him here? She shook her head. Firm. Number I told him it's done. I was stupid, but I'm done. Chad looked between us, furious. This is bull, Ellie. You know you want... I want you to leave, she snapped, louder than I'd ever heard her. Her voice cracked, but she didn't back down. I don't want you near me. Ever again. That was it. Checkmate. Chad huffed, muttered something about me being toxic, then stomped back to his Honda. He slammed the door so hard the car almost coughed itself apart, revved the engine like he was in a drag race, and peeled out of the driveway. He probably thought it looked tough. It sounded like a blender dying. Ellie stood there shaking. I put a hand on her shoulder. Proud of you. She broke, full-on ugly crying, snot and all. I'm so sorry, Dad. I was horrible. I was so horrible to you. Yeah, I said honestly. You were. She half laughed through the tears. You're supposed to say it's okay. It's not okay, I told her. What you said hurt, but we're going to work through it. And we'll make sure you don't fall for another Chad. She nodded, wiping her face with her sleeve. I know. God, I know. He tried giving me dating advice at the hotel. Walter told me I should give Chad another chance, like he was some love guru. I raised an eyebrow. Walter. The same guy who didn't know what grade you're in? Yeah, she groaned. Mom just sat there nodding like he was some expert. She doesn't even know Chad's last name. We went inside. I made us both coffee. 2 creams in each, no sugar. We sat at the table in silence for a bit, just sipping. So here's what happens now. You're grounded for the party thing. No friends over, no going out. And no phone, except the old laggy one you had before your upgrade. Until you can pay half for a new plan, that's what you're using. You've got to be kidding me, she groaned. That thing takes 5 minutes just to open Snapchat. I smirked. Then you'll have plenty of time to think about your choices while it loads. She rolled her eyes, but nodded. Fine, fair. And you're writing 3 apology letters, I added. Her head snapped up. 3? To who? Aunt Stephanie. For putting her in the middle. Your mom. For embarrassing her in front of Walter. Even if she deserved it. And to yourself. Wait, myself? She asked, frowning. Yeah, for dating a guy who treats you like property. You're worth more than that. Write it down so you don't forget it. She swallowed hard, eyes wet again. What about you? Don't I owe you one? No, I said. You owe me the truth. Always. Even when you're mad. Even when you think I'm ruining your life. No more wishing me dead. She managed a small smile. I can do that. Later that night, she sat beside me on the couch, remote in her hand. Want to watch something? What? I asked. Modern Family, she said softly. So we did. 2 episodes, both of us quoting lines, laughing, just existing in the same space like normal people. Halfway through, she disappeared into the kitchen. When she came back, she handed me a sandwich, turkey and Swiss, no pickles, just how I like it. She sat down, watching me take a bite. Full circle, she whispered. I chewed, nodded. Not bad. And in that moment, I realized I didn't need to be Father of the Year. I didn't need recognition or awards or hashtags. I just needed to be here, alive, still dad. And that was enough.